This is Bitcoin zoomed out on the weekly. You see a yellow line, a blue line, and a green line. I am convinced within this blue and green line, Bitcoin and the crypto markets are getting ready to begin the rise to the upside that is going into the 2024 halving. And in this video, I want to simply break down the data and why I think that is so. So hit the subscribe, hit the like. If you're still out there in this bear market, your support, it means 1,000,000% to me. And I really am thankful for each and every one of you out there. This is a headline, plays into what we're talking about. US dollar collapse, shock. I love Forbes, their clickbait. $8 trillion predicted Fed inflation flip to spark a critical Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP crypto price boom to rival gold. It's very attention grabbing, that's for sure, but it plays right into the charts I'm about to show you. So let's talk about why that is. We scroll down, we just kind of read some context here. Bitcoin alongside other major cryptos, Ethereum, XRP have lost momentum, obviously in 2023. The Bitcoin price lost almost 60%, around 60% since peaking at almost $70,000. Cryptos like ADA lost over 90%, even as a BlackRock insider primes the market for a $17.7 trillion earthquake. There's that clickbait again. BlackRock insiders prime crypto for a huge $17.7 trillion Wall Street earthquake. So that's kind of on the sidelines, right? We know that's in play. We know what's potentially lying there. Now, as the Fed grapples with a $33 trillion U.S. debt death spiral, Jefferies analysts have warned the Fed will be forced, and here it is, to restart its money printer, potentially collapsing the US dollar and fueling a Bitcoin price boom to rival gold. Doesn't matter if you think the printer should come back on. Doesn't matter if you think things are just going to settle down. They need to organically just fix themselves. It doesn't matter, especially with this current administration and the recklessness and the way that they handle things, especially going into the 2024 elections, which if we look at the Bitcoin chart, just to give you some context, the 2024 elections, right around, if I can find it, November 2024, right there in terms of the cycles. Why is that circle, that green circle, so critical? Because just look at previous post-halving, that's what it is, post-halving, previous post-halving cycles. Bull market. Here's post-halving 2016, right after bull market. And that is where the elections of 2024 lie, right? So put aside everything talking about the, trillions of dollars because of Bitcoin ETFs and all of this, and also things like SEC potentially getting some big losses, and put aside those things, put aside a money printer coming back on. The timing of these cycles, and I've said this a lot, is right there. And I want to kind of pivot into the charts and kind of discuss the timing and where we are right now, even this week. If you look at this weekly candle that we're in, right alongside this yellow line I have plotted. So I want to describe each line, and then you can let me know in the comments below if you agree with me, if you think I'm being too reliant on historical data on these charts. But I see what I see. I've been doing these videos for almost 6 years now, and they've been very consistent based off of this data. And crypto has performed very reliably according to this data. So yellow line, just to give you some context, if I go back to the last cycle, that yellow line is kind of this area where we're entering this similar red box prior to the halving. And the red line, the yellow line right here is Bitcoin basically putting in this higher low, a very relevant higher low bottom. And you can just actually see it happening right at this 50-week moving average, and then it's kind of sideways for weeks before making this move to the upside. This move to the upside, a very important move, which we're going to talk about in just a minute, comparing it to where we are in this cycle. But that's that move. Now, I'm kind of disregarding the COVID data, but this move, this higher low bounce to the upside going into halving is important. We go back to the cycle prior and we look all the way back here, similar red box in play. There's that yellow line. And that yellow line, again, signifying a very important thing. That is to say, we'll get this move out of the bear market and then this fall to a key moving average. That's what this red candle is, that fall of consolidation. That's what this yellow line is. So I took two of those data points, and actually they happen to be, I think, like 70 some days within the red rectangle. I took those two data points and they're right at the same spot. That's 70 some days, that yellow line. So we're there right now. The bottoming out, the higher low bottoming out at the key moving averages. It's important to me that all these moving averages really are starting to just become very close to each other. They're converging on each other. at this moment. This is exactly what we want to see because this is what we've seen in previous cycles. The 200, a little higher this time around, that red line, a little higher for sure. But either way, Bitcoin consolidating at these areas, at this yellow line. That is consistent to me. Now let's talk about the blue line. Look at the blue line. The blue line in the last cycle is Bitcoin not hitting the moving average and consolidating down, but actually making the move away from, breaking above those moving averages and away from those moving averages prior to the halving, right? This move's so important, and I say it all the time. I would love to see what would have happened if COVID never came into play. What would have happened with Bitcoin? You know, I just don't know. But this move, that blue line away from and up from those moving averages, and then same thing here. This green line is that move. It's Bitcoin breaking away from the moving average consolidation that began with the yellow line, right? So consolidation along the 20-week moving average, and then the breakout prior to the halving. That one a little bit longer. I think 210 days is what it was into the red rectangle. So I basically took those two breakaways of the previous two cycles, blue and green, and that's where Bitcoin started making its move higher highs and higher lows to the upside prior to the halving. Now, if we look at this chart, there's no guarantees that this is exactly going to be how it plays out, but check out where we are right now. Just to give you an idea, around 50 days away, so almost 2 months away from repeating a breakout like we saw in the last cycle. And in terms of the green line, 2 cycles ago, the breakout away from the moving averages, higher highs and higher lows before the halving, 133 days. We still have some time. And that time, that period of time between those two, it's a total of around 80 plus days. So this is the area that I'm truly waiting for. And right now we're in this weird area waiting for that gap. We're in this weird area where I just think Bitcoin is trying to really find its higher low support. And what makes it tricky at this moment is we are grappling with these key moving averages. Let me zoom in on the weekly. Look at this weekly candle. You can't even really see it that well. The 20-week, the 200-week, the green and red, Bitcoin is just there at that resistance. We have the 50-week all the way down here around 24,750. We go over to the daily chart. This is where it gets a little complicated because we do have a target to the downside that breaks those moving averages. I want to be very clear about that. That repetition of support at the moving averages, higher low support at a moving average, that could fail in the weekly if Bitcoin actually continues to this target, and this target is the lower 20,000s, right? 21,000 or so. It's also a higher low Fibonacci from the already previous bear market low to swing high down to a Fibonacci. Key support area. Even if it happens, Bitcoin diverges from that just consistent picture that we've just took a look at in terms of these lines and these time frames. If Bitcoin breaks this 50-week moving average below 24,750 and keeps falling to 21,000 or so, I'm still ultra bullish on the Bitcoin cycles and the crypto cycles and crypto in general. And it is because even if that were to happen, just if you zoom out on this chart, yeah, the moving averages on the weekly, maybe it will be broken, this 50 down here. But if this puts in a higher low at 20,000, right, and we're seeing support, even still, and then it starts making a move to the upside, even still, the consistencies on this chart, that's fine by me. It looks good in terms of the way I'm looking at these charts, and that's all this is. Not trying to sell you on anything. I really don't care if you're a bear or a bull. This is just the way that I see things. I'm tracking my journey on here on crypto charts. And it's these things that really play into it, everybody. The money printers coming back on. Imagine the US dollar collapsing. How believable is that right now? And I'm not saying I'm rooting for just the demise of a US dollar and America just completely just dropping the ball all over the place. I'm not saying I'm rooting for that at all, but this is just what's in play. This is just the real world, what's happening. And if they turn the money printers back on, and we have things like this, headlines that we don't even know about to come out, in terms of BlackRock getting just approval of an ETF or, all of these things. If we have that coinciding with where we're on the cycles, I'm really liking where we are in terms of Bitcoin and crypto. And for me, when I look at fiat, when I look at what is happening in this world, I'm excited that I have exposure to crypto. And that's just the way that I see these things. So that's what a little bit of a timeline perspective. I'm going to keep these lines. I'm actually going to save this chart, keep these lines here so that I continually have this context to kind of base the journey off of. We're going to see how crypto responds to this and if Bitcoin is consistent with previous cycles. So going to be exciting to see. Again, if you're not a subscriber, please make sure you subscribe to Crypto Capital Venture. I appreciate having all of you along on this journey with me. It's definitely been exciting, and I think it's gonna get very exciting going into this next halving. So hope you're having a good day out there. Stay safe as we begin this week. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.